This is part 5 of section 2.3. We want to find all real zeros of this polynomial. Okay, so I'm going to find my P over Q possibilities and then do synthetic division until I'm done. So P comes from the 2, so this is plus or minus 1, plus or minus 2. My Q possibilities are from here, which is just plus or minus 1. So since my Q value is 1, these are also my P over Q values. So I need to test 1, -1, 2, -2. Okay, so let's just jump in. Test 1. We do have a bunch of zeros here that I need to plug back in. 6th power, I need the 5th power, 4th power, I need the 3rd power, 2nd, and I also need a 1st power, and then I have a constant. So that's 3 zeros I need to plug in. 1, 0, 2, 0, 1, 0, 2. Okay. 1, that's a 1, 3, 3, 3, 3, 4, 4, 4, 4, 6. So 1 is a no. Let's try -1. Bring down the 1 and multiply to -1, add -1. That's a 1, a 3, -3, -3, +3, 4, -4, -4, +4, and a 6 again. So -1 is not either. Let's find 2. Okay, so bring down the 1, multiply to 2, that's a 2, 4, 6, 12, 12, 24, 25, 50. This is why I say spread things out. That's 50, that's 100, so your last one is 102. Again, not a solution. Now let's check -2. Now, don't make the mistake of thinking because none of these worked, this one must. It doesn't have to. We might not have any rational zeros. Okay? One, that's a -2, -2, 4, 6, -12, -12, 24, which is 25, -50, -50, 100, and again 102. Now, why did we get the same thing here and here, here and here? It's because this is an even function, so it doesn't matter whether we plug in the 1 or the -1, we're going to get the same answer. Okay, now none of these worked. So I've checked every single possibility. So this has no rational solutions. And if we cannot get our depressed equations down to a quadratic, then by finding rational solutions, then there's not really anything else we are going to be able to do in the scope of this course. So that's as good as we're going to get there. Okay, so now let's do this one. I'm going to find my P over Q values. My P values come from 3, so this is plus or minus 1, plus or minus 3. My Q values come from the 1, so again, this is a 1, which makes it really nice. And this is also P over Q. Okay, so let's start testing. Everything is here. So let's try a 1. Bring down the 1. That's a -6. -6, that's -11. -11, and that's not a 0. Okay, let's try -1. Bring down the 1. It's -1, that's -8. +8, +3, -3, and 0. Okay, good. So I have at least one solution, and it is -1. Okay. Since this has degree 3, I have 2 more solutions. They may be rational, so they may be on our list. They may involve square roots, and they may be imaginary, which again, we're talking about in the next section. Write down your depressed equation here. This was a cube, so this is a square. So I have x squared minus 8x plus 3 equals 0. That's what I need to solve now. Okay, I do a quick check to see if I see how it factors, and I don't. So I'm going to go to the quadratic formula. X equals -b, so -8 plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c, which is all over 2 times a, which is 1. So do the arithmetic inside here, and you get 8 plus or minus the square root of 52 over 2. Now simplify the square root of 52, which is 2 times the square root of 13 over 2. And then you can factor a 2 out of the top and then reduce it to 4 plus or minus the square root of 13. So I do have 2 more solutions. They are not rational because they involve the square root. But I do want to list them here. I have 4 minus the square root of 13, and I have 4 plus the square root of 13. Okay, so we want to use the rational zeros test and synthetic division to completely factor the given polynomial function. Okay, so basically if we can find our zeros, then we can write this as a multiplication problem. So let's just start finding some zeros. So I need to find p over q. My p-values come from 3. So plus or minus 1, plus or minus 3. My q-values come from 2. So plus or minus 1, plus or minus 2. I do need to write down my p over q values since q is more than just a 1. So p over q could be 1 over 1, 1 over 2, 3 over 1, and 3 over 2. So I have 8 possibilities. Let's just, I don't know, jump in. Let's try 1. All of my terms are there, so 2, 1, -4, and -3. Bring down the 2. And I get -1, which is -1, which gives me a -4. So that's a no. 1 is not one of my solutions. Let's try -1. Bring down the 2. negative 1, positive 1, negative 3, positive 3, and a 0. And so negative 1 is one of my solutions. What that means is that x minus a negative 1 or x plus 1 is a factor of this. So this is going to be part of my solution. Now I want to write this depressed equation here, which would be 2x squared minus x minus 3 equals 0. And then either I want to solve this to get my zeros, or I want to see if I can factor it. And this does factor as 2x minus 3 times x plus 1. This is the same as this. Okay, so that means 3/2 is a solution and negative 1 is a solution. Negative 1 is a solution twice. That can happen. When you get the same answer more than once, we call it multiplicity, and then the number of times it's repeated. So since I get negative 1 as a solution twice, negative 1 multiplicity 2. To write this in factored form, f of x is equal to x plus 1 times 2x minus 3. And then I would write this again. Well, I would write it here. I just keep listing all of my factors until I was done. But since it's repeated, I'll put a square there.